What do the colors have to do with the book?
The colors are a color of each tablet, and the tablet color for the book is the important tablet for that book. So in the third one, you'll find out about the red for sure. And that, I mean, I came up with the idea for the tablets, but the designer knew before we even published Matched, we're going to go green, blue, red. So.
Hi. Obviously, all of you very strong women. Your female characters are very strong women. Did that meet with any kind of resistance in the publishing community? Like, oh, strong females, you know?
Oh,
like,
that's a really good question. We all have really strong female characters and very
awesome.
female and very female-centric books. But did that meet with any resistance in the publishing community? What do you think?
I felt no. I mean, I think that was one of the reasons my editor was drawn to the story, is a strong female character who really stands up for herself and doesn't let people push her around. I think it's a great attribute, and I'm glad that's part of her character, and I was glad to find other people that wanted to pass that on to teens.
The opposite might actually be true. Like if I brought a weak heroine to my editor, she would be like, back to the drawing board. And so, like, Evie starts off as a very sheltered, weak character, but if you're not showing a progression and she stays weak, they'd never let that fly.
I mean, I think most of us write for really strong female editors too, right? And that helps certainly.
My editor's a beast.
That's right, absolutely. In the cool hat. Match the movie.
Kind of. It's still in development. They hired a director, David Slade, who did Eclipse, and that's the most that I've heard. And I have no power over casting.
No power over casting. Okay, pink shirt over there. Yeah, this is a question that has been popping up a lot recently, right? Why are they 17? Okay, ladies, why are they 17?
Because I wish I was still 17.
Because what?
I picked that because I thought my government is bad, but they're not pervy. Like, they're not going to have a 13-year-old get married. It makes a lot more sense for a 17-year-old to get paired off than a 13-year-old. No offense, 13-year-olds.
Well, 17 is one of those, like, Tempest is turning 17. 17 is one of those ages, right, where you're almost an adult, you're still young, still a teenager, but you're almost there. So that when you're doing a lot of these really dangerous things, I mean, a number of us are moms up here, and the idea of putting 12-year-olds in danger is a little terrifying. The idea of putting 17-year-olds in danger is a little terrifying, but 12-year-olds is more frightening, I think. How about you, Chris? What do you think?
My heroine's 16. And it was just because it seemed like a milestone birthday. It's when she becomes, you know, this Empress card, and also because I hope the series goes on through time, and so she'll be 17 and 18 hopefully.
Well, and you can't really pick when the apocalypse happens, right?
No, you know what? You can't.
My character's also 16, and I just picked that because I wouldn't go back and be 16 again, but it's an intense romantic love story, and I was in one of those myself when I was 16, and I wanted to place it at that time.
Are any of our characters based off people in our everyday lives?
Yes. In origin, Io has a little foster sister named Ami, and Ami is 7 years old, and she is based off my 7-year-old sister, who is very precocious and gorgeous and fantastic, and I love her to death, and so she was a very big inspiration for that character.
No one in particular, but it's definitely elements. I mean, you write what you know, so the elements of the people that are around you and your family and your friends, or even people you just pass in a shop or a mall or something, you know, they all influence it. You see little characteristics that come through, and it can end up being a combination of them all. But my husband does swear that I somehow magically took every awesome element of him, and then with my genius somehow split him in two to make both Lincoln and Phoenix. And and he congratulates me on a daily basis. I haven't thought to correct him on it. It's just not in my interest. So.
The other thing, and I could be wrong, but this is the literature professor in me, I think that as you start to read people's books over a while, you get a pretty good idea of who they are, too. And I think, no character, of course, we're not like so egotistical that we base characters on ourselves by any means, but I think that parts of who you are as an author continue to creep up in the books as well. Okay, you sure? Superman, sure, because...
In your audio, and Allie, your audiobook, did you get to meet who read the book?
I don't know what you guys, have you met the people who read your audiobooks? I have not, but I've heard their voices and Xander is very attractive.
Xander has a very attractive voice on it.
I was wondering, before y'all actually published them, did y'all have any good websites where you could send in your books to edit them?
Oh, okay. Are there any good websites out there to edit books? Yeah, no. I think what really happens is you work on your book for a while, and then you start looking for an agent who's going to also, depending on what kind of relationship you have with your agent, it's going to kind of help you polish that book up for to be sent out. So it's not necessarily about finding a website that will help you edit, so much as completing the story and finding an agent who believes in it.
Well, I did use some websites. I wouldn't put the entire book up. That's not really always a great idea, unless you really don't care if somebody steals it. If you intend to sell it, it's better to keep it to yourself. But one really good one I used is Hat Rack River, which is Orson Scott Card's website, and he has a great forum on there. One of the best things about that site is you can go on and put just the first 13 lines of your story, and people will come back and say, I want to read more or I don't. And it really helps you nail that opening little bit where you have the most time to snag an agent's interest. So that's a really, really good one, and I would recommend, it's called Hat Rack River.
Figment didn't exist when I was first writing this book, but if it had, I think I would have been up there a lot. Figment is a great site for community and for sharing and getting feedback on your work.
Okay.
What was my inspiration for Origin? Well, it kind of happened like this. I was out taking a walk one day, and I was in the middle of trying to sell a high fantasy novel, and it was kind of going okay, but not great. It wasn't taking off really fast. So I was out walking and just thinking about writing, and maybe I should write something new. And then I just got this image of a girl trapped in glass walls in the jungle, separated from the boy she loved. And I was so intrigued by her that I just asked myself, where is she, why is she crying, who's the boy, what's the story? And I was so taken with the story that it just developed in my mind in the next about 10 minutes. And I just ran home and started writing the first chapter and finished it 30 days later. So it was very, very fast and kind of all at once. I knew exactly where it needed to go, about the same minute that I knew where it was going to start.